Hello, this is my first video I'm making about 2015 Ducati Monster 1200. Currently, I've been riding the bike for about 10,000 miles and a little over a year. I would like to make a separate video about the review, basically how the bike is and what the bike is like, but I wanted to make a separate video about issues that are, when you buy the bike you would have these problems, and these problems are, some of them are design flaws, some of them are assembling and production issues. The first one that I wanted to talk about is I had some kind of engine problem, or I could say ECU problem maybe, when I initially got the bike. When I came out of the dealership, bike turned off as I was riding. As I let go the throttle, bike would shut off, and it's a really powerful engine, so what happens is that the rear tire actually locks up as you're going. And what happened was that I had to, this happens in less than a second. You don't even think about it. Just instinctively, I just grabbed the clutch and released the rear tire and rolled on, and then tried to start the bike as I was rolling, and it did start up and just continued. Went home. I was a little surprised. I thought, oh well, maybe it's a new bike. It just I just came out of dealer. That's a possible. I'm trying to make myself believe that there's nothing wrong with the bike, basically. So this problem happened again a few times, and I took the bike back in. I took the bike back in so many times I lost the count of it. So they basically told me that they first said, long story short, that I'm crazy, I need to learn how to ride. And then later they told me that, oh, I can leave the bike. So I left the bike there for some time, and then once I came back they said, oh yeah, we took care of the problem. There was some software issue and we just put on new software. And I grabbed the bike, I left, and problem happened again. So this time I called Ducati itself, their headquarters here in Cupertino, I believe, and the gentleman laughed at me and said, oh, this is not a dangerous issue, you wouldn't have any problem if the bike shuts off. Just take it back in and our professional mechanics would look at it. And I'm just thinking that those guys were totally incompetent. So basically Ducati said that there's nothing wrong with the bike. Oh, nothing is gonna happen if the bike shuts off casually as you're riding, and as you're leaning in a turn and the rear tire locks up, you'll be fine. So that's what basically told me. And that was pretty shocking. And what happened was that once I got the first service done, the problem was somewhat solved. The problem isn't solved because it comes back once every once in a while, but it's reduced. It's so basically what happened was, after I got the first service done, the problem disappeared, and I maybe had that problem happening again twice afterwards. So but I'm always afraid. I'm afraid that when is it going to happen next time. The other issue is that if it's a hot day and you shut off the bike, you won't be able to turn it back on, so you have to, the engine will crank but it won't start up. So you will have to give it multiple tries or let the bike cool down a little bit before you can turn it back on. So now going from the software issue to some physical problems. The first one is that these LED lights, they were dying out. They would just, every time I would turn the handlebar, they would just turn off. So I came to the logical conclusion that there's got to be some kind of wiring problem, because every time I turn the handlebar, they die. So I took it back in and explained to Ducati, and they said, no, this is not the problem. The headlight is dead. We're going to order a new headlight. So I waited about 13 days, and I went to the dealer, and at the dealer, the day I came, they said, actually the headlight is okay. It was the cable is broken. And I said, I told you guys the cable was broken from day one. So they added an extension right back here, which is kind of impossible to see for you guys, but they soldered actually a piece of wire to the original cable, and kind of what do you call it, like a redneck fix. They fixed it, and I basically said, so long as it works, I don't care about how they've done it. So long story short, I was about to leave the dealership, and then it wouldn't turn on, and then I just brought it back, and then they were like, oh, you're back again. So something else was wrong, and with the cable, so they had to try to fix that again. The next thing is this passenger peg. This thing it's loose, it randomly falls, and it's kind of dangling. I don't know if it's visible or not, but it's not fastened right. It's not where it's supposed to be. So every time I get off the bike, this is down. So I put it back up, no problem. The other thing is these aluminum trim things right here. Previously they were really tight and they look really cool. They still look cool, but they're separating, they're coming off. I can tell that this is plastic. Radiator gets really hot, and it has probably deformed the plastic. Therefore, plastic and the aluminum are not bond together anymore, so they're separating. That's a design flaw, I would believe, on behalf of material engineer, whatever they are. Another issue is that these turn signals would just randomly fall off. As you can see, they're really loose, but they are supposed to be to a certain point, but not to the point where they would just fall off. So I have a job of putting them back in once in a while. My friend had a solution. He said use a tide lock and whatever that is, and that sounds reasonable. I might give it a try and do that and see how that's going to work, but you have a problem there still. And the other thing is, on the pipe there are 3 screws down here and 3 screws, rest in peace. They used to exist, but they're no longer there. They just fell off. It's kind of difficult to see the cap, this thing back here. It's in place. It's not going to fall off, but it's loose. And every time I rev the bike, I can hear it. It vibrates, same as this guy right here. But these are not lethal problems, but they're kind of a disappointment when you spend so much money to buy a good brand bike, and they charge you for all kinds of stuff, from putting the bike together to shipping the bike from Europe to the United States, all kinds of BS charges that they add up to the bike. Anyhow, so these were some of the issues. My friend, he got exactly the same bike, Monster 1200. His rear shock broke, and fluid started coming out. He took it to the dealer, and dealer blamed him. They said, you don't know how to ride a bike. You did something to it. You were riding too hard or something like that, so it broke. And he had to make them understand that he doesn't do that, and regardless, it shouldn't break. So he had to go back and forth for a month to finally get it fixed and make them change it. So that was going to cost them about $1,500 to change the shock if he had to pay, but you know, its bike is still under warranty, so they changed it. But it wasn't an easy job to do. It required a lot of calling, going there, all that stuff. So that was the issue with his bike. So I'm just counting down. I'm thinking, okay, so is that going to happen to me or what? Overall, bike sounds really awesome. It looks really cool. It rides really awesome. There's a lot of vibration in the bike. It's understandable. It's a twin. There's a lot of vibration in the twin. The front suspension is a little, when you're going through turns, I've tightened it up. I put it on sports mode, but it's still a bit loose. You know, you can get the S version that's going to have Erling suspension, so that's going to be entirely different. And that wasn't really my focus of making this video. I just wanted to basically explain some of the problems that come with the bike. Basically, when you buy the bike, they are there. And the worst one was the software problem, where the bike would just shut off. It would just randomly shut off. And that was really annoying, really scary at times, and I was kind of getting used to it. So I had figured out, oh, so if it shuts off, if you see all the lights come up on the instrument cluster, you know that the bike is dead. So pull in the clutch, do all that stuff. But you would think that that's not how things should be. You know, when you buy a bike, you should be able to ride. I previously owned a Honda. Honda never had any problem. I'm not advertising for Honda. It's nothing about that. You know, it's just about you're comparing two different brands. One is actually much cheaper, but it doesn't have all the problems that this bike has. So I still like the bike. I enjoy it. I don't have any basically, I don't hate the bike. That's not the issue, but there are some serious problems that I would think when you buy a brand new bike, you wouldn't have these problems. Lastly, if you have any questions, if you're going to buy a Ducati, feel free to drop a comment or ask me any questions you have. I've seen a lot of things. I've done a lot of things to this bike to make sure that it's going to be riding fine. It's not going to just die. So yeah, you can ask my feedback. Any specific questions about how bike rides or this and that, just feel free to ask. Thank you for watching.